Okay, what's going on, y'all? Today we're going to go over what we need when we first start out in our trade of electrical, right? And fucking Buddy's going to be all in the way and stuff. First things first, we're basically just going to do an outline of beginner sets of tools that we'll need. Most will probably be given to us with our package, but there's a couple little add-ons that I'll definitely be like, you definitely need this tool, it's a useful tool. The first main one is easily screwdrivers. I would prefer that everyone who's going to be an electrician gets insulated screwdrivers. You don't know how soon you'll be in live panels, and these will protect you up to certain voltages, right? So get your traditional sets, flathead, different size Phillips, 1, 2, 3, square drives. A lot of our devices use square drives or Robertson head bits. Get yourself some of those. I recommend getting yourself a beater screwdriver. I have a Milwaukee beater screwdriver. Beater screwdriver just means something with a blunt end you can hit. This is a metal end. I can beat it up, use it to pry, fucking hammer things in, break things, stuff like that. I don't have one here, but I do have one of my main tools. Which have what we call a trim screwdriver, which is basically a flathead that has a lot smaller tip on it, a very small tip to it, so that way you don't mess up faceplates and stuff like that. Get yourself a little stubby. You don't use them often, but when you do you need them? You need them, right? I got myself a multiple screwdriver in one. They sell a bunch of these types of screwdrivers that are bigger, larger. They're very useful. If you can find combo tools, you'll save yourself a lot of room in your bags for what you need to do. Also, I would suggest to get, you don't have to, but it's add-on and it's not that cost expensive. Get yourself low voltage screwdrivers. I have little Lennox screwdrivers. They don't have to be any cool brand, but they're good for low voltage connections if you're working with like lighting control stuff and anything in that area. Next, we move on to the main stuff. Recommend get yourself a good pair of lineman pliers. This is a very useful tool, almost used every day. Main set of tools. If you're going to go somewhere, you have one of these with you. I recommend getting just a traditional style one. Basically, a lot of them now come with different attachments and stuff like that. I don't like any of the attachments, especially using it as like a beater, like a hammer. This would be electrician's hammer. That's kind of what we go with it. That's just how it works. I would also recommend, if you can afford it, getting voltage rated stuff. That way you're protected. Always about protection. That's line pretty damn useful. Get yourself a good pair of wire strippers. I recommend getting wire strippers that will strip at least 10 gauge. So our most common gauge of wire that I want to work with is obviously 12 gauge wire, 14 gauge wire. I'm commercial, so 12 gauge is the big one that you're mainly running MC with and stuff like that. Make sure you get your actual 10 gauge wire strippers. They have smaller ones and they have bigger ones. If you can find the big ones, they're cool, but just find ones that work for you. These are pretty inexpensive. Even the little ones, maybe like 15 bucks, but they're useful tool. Make sure you get one, at least get one with it has a 632 and an 832 screw hole that you can break screws with. I don't think I have any screws here to show that with, but no, I don't. Not seeing any, no. So make sure you get that though. That is an attachment. I think I've went over that with some people before, but I'm not sure. But that's useful. They're used for cutting, stripping wire, making hooks. They have little hook attachments, all that type of stuff. Definitely a useful tool you'll need. Needle nose pliers. They make a bunch of different versions of needle nose pliers. I recommend just getting one that feels right. Maybe the longer one from Nitpicks is a brand. Those ones are pretty fucking cool, but I just have Klein ones. This is like my 4th pair. I go through them quite a bit. Perfect for getting into boxes, small areas. Very useful tool. Definitely a must need. Then we move into diagonal cutters, which is just like this. This is your more traditional diagonal cutter, or in the field they call them dikes. It's just what they say. They got a lawsuit, so now they're diagonal cutters. Again, all of my main tools are insulated, so that's good. I would recommend that for everyone and everyone. Cutting, stripping, any kind of stuff, get those. They also have journeyman diagonal cutters, which are much bigger cutters, like so. Much bigger cutters. A little bit more expensive of a tool. It's not something I would recommend people who just start out need, but it's useful if you want it, for sure. Next would be what I've learned to be called eagle beaks and or loppers. Just another type of cutter. Pretty big cutter, cut big wire, useful, very useful. Not insulated, but it's mainly just for cutting wire. So you can also strip wire with that. Next we'll move into level. I recommend getting yourself a good level with earth magnets on it. That would be my recommendation. Earth magnets meaning it's pretty hard to pry off of stuff. It's not easy to pry off of stuff. I would recommend getting a level with everything that pertains to us for bending pipe. 90 degrees, 45 degrees, 30 degrees, anything like that. This used to have a little screw in here that'll attach the pipe, but I've lost it, so that's the way it is now. They have bigger levels, little. You don't need the super one. This is the mini one. These are kind of expensive, like 30 something bucks. Another option for better, more meticulous benders or stuff like that would be a digital level. Digital level is pretty neat. It's only like 25 bucks or something like that. Not a bad use of your time if you're going to be bending a lot of conduit. I'm not sure. It's up to whoever you're working with. Next one is a tape measure. Make sure you get good tape measures. Don't get shitty tape measures. I normally, every time I replace them, I normally just get a Klein tape measure again. It's pretty nifty. They're making a whole bunch of different tape measures with all those weird markings and stuff on it now. Just get traditional inches on there. They have some now are centimeters straight, flat, and just do inches. They mark out everything you need to know. These little dots right here, 16 is like 16 center for studs. And they have another little notch for other types of studs, but 24, 12, just big, and you can see it. The other cool thing about Klein tape measures is it gives you all the conduit bending rules, or ideas, or thoughts, or whatever you want to talk about. Your multipliers and or your shrinkage and shit like that. So on here it has your multiplier for 10 degrees is 6, shrink factor, it gives you everything you need to know. So you don't need to pull out the phone to figure that out when you're bending conduit. It also gives you a chart for breakers. Traditional size panel in commercial is 42 slots. That's what it shows you. A, B, C phase. It shows you what color is what. Just pretty neat to have all that stuff with you and one little tool. Also get your, I would recommend getting one with a magnetic tip. Without the magnet, it kind of sucks. And then make sure you get one with a kind of a long standout, so that way it doesn't break. Like, you don't want to break it that. You want to have a pretty good standout length, like so. Make sure you get yourself a good tape measure. If you don't, if you just allow that to happen all the time, you'll break it really fast. I always recommend using your index as a guide and like a hole. You could stop it the whole way through. I can stop it. That way you protect it from just cutting and breaking, which sucks. It's like 20, 25 bucks every time you buy a new tape measure. Next is a good set of Allen keys. These are just regular Klein Allen keys that they'll give you, but they're set for lugs for panels and stuff like that, and or any other little pieces of trim work that might need Allen keys. So they're pretty damn useful. I'll get these and just keep them in your bag. You never know when you're gonna need them. Next is tongue and groove pliers or channel locks. I recommend getting two separate sizes. One traditionally big size channel locks, like so, and one smaller size channel locks, like so. I call them baby channies. They're a pretty useful tool. Some people, you can get away with just these guys. I like the little ones. It's better for connectors and stuff like that to get things screwed on tight and stuff. But definitely recommend those to keep both in your bags all the time. They have a bunch of different kinds. Whatever's cost effective, it doesn't really matter. Clyde ones are kind of expensive for no reason. I don't really see the purpose. Next would be conduit reaming and filing tools. This file you can find for like a couple dollars at Harbor Freight. Pretty sweet deal. It's got some serious jagged edges and just an Ideal reamer. Ideal has a good brand because they got a little wire twister on the back end of it. Kleins are not bad either. They also sell drill attachments for this guy. It also has inside, it has a square tip, of course, so that way. Some have flatheads, some do square tips, some do whatever they do inside, but like a one-stop shop for when working with pipe and all that type of stuff. It reams 1/2 inch, 3/4, 1 inch, pretty much standard sizes. Anything bigger than that, you're gonna go file anyways, and make sure you get all the shavings off. It is a code. Next, we'll probably go into writing utensils. I always keep Sharpies and pencils on me in my bags. You never know what you need to write. It's pretty useful. You can measurements, stuff like that. You don't forget. I always carry writing utensils. Very cheap, very easy to hold. Next is our kind of shitty testers in life. They don't help you with staying alive, but they do tell you if voltage is present, which is useful. So a ticker, a wiggy, hot stick, whatever term demographic area you're from, they all call this thing something different. But they do drop a lot, they break, they give false readings. It's not something you should bet your whole life on that something's off. Next is a plug tester with a GFCI test button. Definitely useful, pretty cheap tool. I would recommend getting the GFCI test button. That's pretty useful. Basically tells you if your correct wiring for recips is correct, open hots, open neutrals. It's all written on this guy right here. Definitely useful little tester. You need to turn off the circuit. Then I'd recommend, not everybody, but it's useful to have a meter and know how it works almost immediately while you're in the field. You never know if your first gig is going to be a service troubleshooting gig and or new construction, which you might never pull this thing out. But it's useful to know. Find a meter, get a meter. Fluke is a lot better brand. I have Klein. This is kind of what I got after good school, and it's worked ever since. Pretty good. So test for volts, right? You got 120 volts for stuff. Test for amps, how much amperage we got and stuff. Ohms, test resistance for ohms. Tones, right? Does a whole bunch of cool different things. Test for hertz. That's not really helpful to us, but definitely useful. Clamp on meters are better, so that way you can test one wire at a time. Yeah, for amperage. That's pretty much it. That's what I would put in my basic need for I'm going to become an electrician, I need hand tools now type of gig. That's what I'd have in there. This is pretty much all the tools I'll carry on me all the time, if not in my main bag, in another bag near me while I'm working. Almost all companies are going to have you buy your own hand tools, even unions, even our union here where we're at.